Long before that night, I had heard whispers. They weren't the spooky campfire kind, but casual mutterings, word-of-mouth warnings that slipped between breaks and locker room gossip. I started working at the Burger King on Marsh Lane during my junior year of high school, mostly to save for college and get away from the chaos at home. My dad left 2 summers ago and Mom worked nights at a warehouse. We barely crossed paths. The job gave me structure and, more importantly, silence. My name's Aubrey Lawson. I never liked attention, never liked being involved in drama. I was quiet, good with routines, and never questioned authority, which is probably why I stayed longer than most. In the 6 months I worked there, I saw more resignations than I could count. Managers rotated like clockwork, employees left mid-shift, and yet I stayed. I told myself it was normal, just a rough area, just bad luck. But deep down, I knew something was off. It started with the freezer, or maybe it ended there. I'm still not sure. We were warned not to go near it. At first they taped a regular out-of-order sign, then came duct tape, then a handwritten warning that simply read, "Do not enter. Leak hazard." It was taped on sloppily, like an afterthought, but no one questioned it. That's the thing about fear, and it doesn't always show up loud and dramatic. Sometimes it just sits in the air like static. It was a Saturday. Heavy rain since 8 p.m. Just me, Maya, and Caleb. Caleb was technically our floor manager, though most nights he spent more time vaping in his car than managing anything. Maya was a part-time nursing student with tired eyes and a tired soul. That night was her last shift. She was done with the place. It was almost 11:30 when I saw them. 2 women standing under the drive-through sign. They weren't moving. No car, no umbrella. Just standing there in the rain, soaked to the bone. One had her head tilted upward like she was counting raindrops. The other stared directly at the front doors. "You see them?" I asked quietly. Maya followed my gaze. "We're closed, right?" "No, not until midnight." We watched as they entered. No sound, no water trailing behind them. Just silence and wet footsteps that didn't echo. I stepped forward, my voice doing what protocol demanded. "Hi, welcome in. Just a heads up. Kitchen's only doing drive-through orders right now." No response. The taller one walked to the corner booth near the drink machine and sat. The other lingered, watching the back hallway, the hallway that led to the freezer. "Ma'am, that area is off limits," I said. Still nothing. No blink, no nod. Then she moved. She walked straight toward it like she belonged there, like the tape didn't exist. The door, sealed for weeks, opened under her hand. She stepped inside and vanished. I ran after her, but by the time I reached the doorway it was dark. The smell hit me first. Rusty, sour, like meat left out too long. She was gone. Just gone, I choked. Caleb came back in right after. "What now?" he groaned. "There were 2 women," I said, breath catching. One of them walked into the freezer. Maya backed me up. She didn't even touch the tape, she just went in. It smelled like something rotting. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "What? 2 women?" We turned to point. The booth was empty, and that was only the beginning. We hovered near the counter, confused and shaken. Maya looked pale. Caleb rolled his eyes, thinking we were overreacting. He walked to the manager's computer and pulled up the security feed. "Let's see this mystery guest," he said. The timestamp read 11:28 p.m. Door opens. Nothing. Just me and Maya standing at the counter, reacting to no one. Caleb frowned. "See? Nobody came in. Maybe y'all need to clock out early." No, I saw them." "One looked at me," I insisted. Maya whispered, "What's back there, Caleb? What happened in that freezer?" He was silent for a long moment, then finally said, "A homeless guy broke in back there last summer. They found him 2 days later. Cops came, but it got swept under the rug. Some said there were signs someone else had been in there with him, but the security footage got erased." My stomach dropped. Management covered it up. Corporate told us to tape it off and forget it. We should have left then. We didn't. We stayed and cleaned. Maya and I wiped down the front area. Caleb disappeared into the office, but while sanitizing the touchscreen kiosk, I saw it. Smears of ketchup, not spilled, not accidental, written. "You locked me in!" I screamed. Maya dropped an entire bin of fryer tools. The crash brought Caleb back until he saw the words. We rushed to the hallway. The freezer door was wide open. Inside, nothing except a soaked Burger King hat stained with something dark and thick. We locked the door, taped it again, and called the regional manager, who told us flatly, "Do not call the cops. Just lock up and go home." I barely remember driving home. My hands shook the whole time. I didn't even shower. I lay in bed with the lights on. At 2:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. No name, no contact, just one message. "Still cold in here." I quit the next morning. Maya, too. Caleb said he'd hold things down until corporate figured it out. A week later, he didn't show up for his shift. They found his car in the lot. Door open, engine off. No sign of him. Burger King boarded up the hallway, placed a new drink station to cover the space, pretended the freezer never existed, but I remember. I remember the woman staring at the freezer like it held a piece of her. Maybe she wasn't haunting the place. Maybe she was trapped in it. Sometimes we ignore what doesn't make sense. We tape it shut. We put signs on it. We tell ourselves it's not our business. But silence can be just as dangerous as ghosts. Never ignore the places where people have suffered. The past doesn't stay buried. It waits for someone to notice. My name is Aubrey Lawson, and I never meant to go back. Not really. But life has a way of dragging you to places you swore you'd never see again. For me, that place is the Burger King on South Atlantic Boulevard in Monterey Park. I first encountered it when I was 11. My summers were spent with my Uncle Victor and cousin Evan. Mom worked nights, Dad was gone, and this week-long escape felt normal. Evan and I didn't talk much, but we had one ritual. Walk to that Burger King, grab Whopper Juniors, split fries, sit in the same booth by the window. It was comforting. Safe. Until the summer of 2005. That night, the air felt heavier than usual. The fluorescent lights flickered above us as we munched on fries, and the soda machine behind the counter groaned like metal stretched under unseen weight. I noticed it first. A shadow at the swinging metal door that led to the back kitchen and freezer. At first, I thought it was a worker. But something was wrong. The figure was taller than any human should be, limbs slightly bent as if they didn't obey natural joints, and the skin, or whatever it was, looked pale, wet, sagging, like it had been left in a damp basement too long. Its face was melted, horror fused with human form, and two red holes stared at me where eyes should have been. I froze. Evan grabbed my wrist, whispering, "Don't look." But I couldn't. The figure didn't move, at first. Then a worker carrying buns walked right through it. It didn't exist for anyone else, only me and Evan. The air grew colder. A smell hit me. Freezer burn mixed with something metallic and rotten. I gagged. We didn't speak about it again that night. At all. The next day I tried asking Uncle Vic about the back. He barely looked up from the newspaper. "Old freezer," he muttered. "Fire years ago, some people got stuck. Management covered it. Don't ask." He snapped the page shut as if the words themselves were dangerous. Years later, I was 16 and needed a job. My mom suggested fast food. It was easy, flexible. I ended up at a Burger King on Marsh Lane. Same routine. Paper hat, cleaning tables, smiling at customers, repeating orders. Nothing could have prepared me for what I'd face. The freezer door. At first it had a taped out-of-order sign, then duct tape. Then a hand-scrawled warning, "Do not enter, leak hazard." Everyone ignored it because that's what fear does. It silences you. One night I was closing with Maya and Caleb. Caleb was our manager, though he spent half the night outside vaping. Maya was finishing her nursing classes and was clearly done with life. Around 11:30 p.m., heavy rain pounding the lot, I saw them. Two women standing under the drive-through sign. No car, no umbrella. They just stood soaked, staring at the building. "Do you see them?" I whispered. Maya followed my gaze. They walked in. Silent, wet footsteps didn't echo. I greeted them, voice trembling. Kitchen's only doing drive-through. Nothing. One sat in a booth. The other went straight to the freezer. She lifted the tape like it wasn't there. The door opened under her hand. She disappeared. I ran after her. The freezer was dark, cold, the smell unbearable. Sour, metallic, rotten. Empty. No one. Maya confirmed she saw it too. Caleb checked security cameras. Nothing. No one had entered. The next days were a blur. Corporate told us to tape the freezer shut. Don't call the cops, just lock up. A week later, Caleb disappeared. Car found abandoned, engine off. No explanation. I couldn't stop thinking about the women, or the freezer. The air in the restaurant seemed charged, as if it remembered what happened inside. I started noticing things other employees ignored, smears of ketchup forming words on the touchscreens. You locked me in. Doors slightly ajar, freezers humming when they shouldn't, shadows moving in the periphery. In 2022, I returned to the same city for a logistics job. My GPS led me to the Burger King on South Atlantic Boulevard. New booths, new touchscreens, same layout. I slid into our old booth, muscle memory, comfort. But my stomach twisted. Behind the restaurant, where I remembered the cold box building, there was nothing. Clean white storage units, no windows, no shadows. An old janitor passed by, wheeling a mop bucket. "You've been here before?" he asked casually. "Yeah, a long time ago," I replied. "You look like you saw something you thought was gone," he said. "Ever lose power when no one else does? Feel a chill? Then don't look for what left." That place didn't like being watched inside the restaurant. I ordered a small Coke. The smell of grease hit me instantly. The hum of the lights was the same. I slid into the old booth and saw it. A figure by the kitchen door, tall, melted, eyes red. I froze. I didn't finish my drink. I left. At my hotel that night, the TV flicked on at 2:17 a.m. Static, then black, then two red dots in the upper corner. In the reflection, I saw them, tall one, melted one, watching. I didn't sleep. I drove until Arizona, never explained anything to HR. I called Evan. "Wondering when you'd remember," he said. "They were..." "What?" I asked. "Those left behind when no one cares," he said. "When suffering goes ignored, they rot and wait. And when you see them, they know you did." I never ate at Burger King alone again. I never sat with my back to windows. I still dream of them sometimes. Watching, waiting, behind freezers, behind doors. Silent. Because buildings remember, people forget, and when we ignore it long enough, it takes form. My name is Alex Carter, and I never thought a fast food job would scar me for life. But the Burger King on South Highway 67 did exactly that. I was 19 when I took the night shift position. College wasn't going well, my parents weren't helping, and the extra money seemed worth it. The night shifts were mostly quiet, with occasional late-night customers who were either drunk, lost, or both. I liked the solitude at first. There was something comforting in the predictable routine. Fryers humming, the faint smell of grease, the whir of the soda machines. But nothing could have prepared me for what I'd face that rainy Saturday night. The store had a history, or at least rumors of one. Everyone whispered about the freezer in the back. The large walk-in had a big out-of-order sign taped across its door. Later, duct tape covered the handle. Finally, someone scrawled in thick black marker, "Do not enter, leak hazard." Management never explained why. Everyone obeyed the sign. Everyone, that is, except for her. It started around 11:30 p.m. Lydia, my coworker, was stacking napkins by the counter when the doorbell chimed. Nobody came in this late. 2 women walked inside, dripping wet. But the rain didn't touch them. Or maybe it did, but not the way normal water does. Their clothing hung heavy with water, but there were no puddles left behind, no sound of dripping. Their eyes were fixed on the freezer. "Hi. Welcome," I said, voice tense. "Kitchen's only doing drive-through orders right now." No response. One woman walked to a booth near the corner, sat and stared ahead without blinking. The other moved directly to the freezer. My stomach sank. The tape over the handle didn't slow her. She placed her hand on the metal and the door swung open as if it were unlocked all along. She stepped inside. I froze. My heart pounded like a drum in my ears. The smell hit me instantly, a mixture of sour, metallic, rotten. My stomach churned, my throat burned. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs moved before I realized it. I followed her in. The freezer was empty. Nothing. She had vanished. I stumbled back into the main area, gasping. Lydia's face was pale. "Did you see her?" "Yes," I whispered. She just disappeared." We checked the security cameras immediately. The footage showed no one entering the store after the doorbell, no one near the freezer. The tape-covered door remained closed until the last moment, then swung open by itself. We couldn't explain it. The next day, I asked a few co-workers about the freezer. Most shrugged. "Don't go in there," one muttered. Another laughed nervously. "Somebody says a homeless guy died in there years ago. Something followed him in." Security caught nothing. Corporate covered it up. I didn't care about the rumor. I only knew what I saw and what I smelled. The nights after that were worse. Sometimes when I cleaned the floor alone, I heard faint tapping from the freezer. At first, I thought it was condensation dripping from the pipes. Then I noticed the sound had a rhythm, almost deliberate, like someone was tapping a warning or a countdown. Shadows began moving just at the edge of my vision. I would turn, expecting a customer, but there was nothing. One night, around 2 a.m., I was alone finishing inventory. The stockroom lights flickered. The freezer door creaked slightly, even though the tape was still intact. I heard breathing, deep, slow, and deliberate. I told myself it was imagination. It wasn't. I moved toward the door cautiously. The cold from inside seemed to seep through the walls, unnatural, like a living thing. I reached for the handle. The tape tore easily under my grip, more than it should have. The door swung open, empty. The smell, the same metallic, rotten stench. I gagged, and then I saw her, or him. A figure, pale and soaked, standing at the far corner. Limbs bent unnaturally. Face, wrong. Melted in some parts, eyes deep red. Watching me, studying me. Not angry, not aggressive, just waiting. I backed out, slammed the door, and taped it shut again. My hands shook. I called Lydia. She came in, and together we cleaned the lobby, avoiding the freezer. But the tension was unbearable. Every shadow in the corner seemed alive. The humming of the fryers sounded like whispers. The soda machine hissed like it was breathing. Corporate visited a week later. They didn't ask questions. They inspected the freezer, nodded, and left. "Tape it up, keep it closed, and don't mention it," they said. Their eyes were cold, uncaring. After that, Lydia quit. I stayed one more week before giving in. I packed up my apron, my paper hat, and my flashlight. On my last night, I couldn't shake the feeling I was being followed. Every time I turned a corner, the freezer door seemed closer than it should be. I left the keys on the counter and walked out into the rain. The lot was empty. I didn't look back. Years later, I drive past Burger Kings on highways at night. The lights glow red and yellow in the dark. I check the windows instinctively. Sometimes I think I see her, or him, standing by the freezer in the back, just watching, waiting. I never eat at Burger King alone. I never sit with my back to the windows. And if I ever hear a soft, deliberate tapping in a quiet room, I remember the freezer and the woman who vanished inside it, and I know some places are alive with what we refuse to see. Because fear doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it waits silently behind a tape-covered door until someone finally notices. I didn't want the job. Not really. It was late summer 2021 when I took the night shift at the Burger King off Route 42. My college tuition wasn't covered and my dorm job hadn't called back. Money, necessity, call it whatever you want. But I ended up there, alone most nights, managing the place with only the hum of the fryers and the occasional lost trucker for company. The store itself had a history. Locals called it the Haunted BK quietly, in whispers when nobody outside could hear. A manager had disappeared years ago during a closing shift. Security cameras had recorded him entering the back freezer but never leaving. Corporate tapes had mysteriously malfunctioned. Nobody stayed long, and the few who did left with stories they didn't tell anyone. I was skeptical. Superstitions were for kids. But the first night, the air felt wrong. I arrived at 10 p.m., keys in hand. The lot was empty, unusually dark. The neon sign flickered. I unlocked the doors and stepped inside. The smell hit me instantly. Fried oil, cleaning chemicals, and something else, faint, almost metallic. I shrugged it off. My coworker that night was a girl named Rachel. She had been with the company for over a year, mostly working afternoons. She had a quiet way of moving through the store, a meticulousness that almost made her invisible. "First night?" she asked without looking up from the register. "Yeah," I said. "Don't go in the freezer," she said casually, as if warning me of something mundane. I laughed. "Why?" "I won't touch it." She raised an eyebrow but said nothing else. The first few hours were quiet. I stocked napkins, wiped tables, and occasionally peeked at the lobby through the CCTV monitors. The store was empty, the night silent except for the hum of lights and fryers. Then it started. At 11:37 p.m. I heard it, a soft dragging sound coming from the back hallway. It was subtle at first, like a mop being pulled across tile, but it had a rhythm. Deliberate. I froze. Rachel looked at me, eyes sharp. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. She shook her head. "Probably the AC." But it wasn't. I approached the back hallway cautiously. The fluorescent light above the freezer flickered. A chill ran down my spine. I opened the small window in the back door. Nothing. Then I heard it. Whispers. Low, almost imperceptible. Not words exactly, but a rhythm to the sound, like someone counting, like someone calling me. I spun toward the freezer. The big walk-in, always taped, always warned against. The tape had frayed over time. Something was behind it. Rachel came up behind me, pale. "You're not going in there," she said firmly. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I stepped closer. The tape peeled off in my hands like it was waiting for me. The freezer door creaked open, cold air spilling out, smelling of meat, ice, and rust. And then I saw it. A figure crouched in the corner, pale, wet-looking, limbs bent unnaturally. Eyes hollow, watching. I froze. My stomach turned. My heart was hammering so loudly I was certain she could hear it. Rachel grabbed my arm. "Run!" But I couldn't. The figure moved, not like a human moves, gliding. No sound. Its eyes, black, endless, focused on me. And then it spoke. "You shouldn't be here." Not a whisper, not a voice I could hear clearly. But somehow I knew the words. I stumbled back. Rachel dragged me out. We locked the door and taped it again. But the feeling didn't leave. Something lingered, watching, waiting. The rest of the shift was a blur. Customers appeared for drive-through orders, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were on me from the back hallway. Every shadow seemed alive. Every flicker of light became a warning. At midnight, I went to throw out trash. Rachel refused to go with me. I didn't care. I walked slowly toward the dumpster, glancing over my shoulder. That's when I saw her. A woman standing by the side door, pale, soaked, the same figure from the freezer. She didn't move, didn't blink, just watched. I froze. She tilted her head, smiling slowly, crooked, unnatural, as if she knew something I didn't. I ran back inside. Rachel met me at the door, eyes wide. "I saw her too," she whispered. The next day I told management. They brushed it off. "Probably a homeless person," they said. But when I mentioned the freezer, their faces hardened. "Do not touch that door again. Close it. Lock it. Forget it exists." I quit the next night. Rachel left too. But I never forgot. Sometimes I dream of the freezer. The figure inside, crouched in the shadows, watching, waiting. the smell of meat, rust, and ice, the tape peeling off the door as if inviting me in. Years later, I drive past that Burger King. The lights flicker. The lot is empty. And sometimes, just sometimes, I see her standing by the side door, smiling, waiting. Because some places never let go of what they trap inside. My name is Alex Carter. I never thought working at a fast food restaurant at night could change your life, but the Burger King on South Highway 42 did exactly that. I was 19 when I took the job. My college money wasn't enough. My dorm job had been slow to respond, and I was desperate. The night shift seemed perfect, quiet, lonely, and well-paying for a few hours of routine work. The first night, I thought the stories were nonsense. Locals whispered about the haunted Burger King off the highway. Employees said managers had disappeared, security footage had failed, and corporate had covered up incidents. I laughed at it. Superstitions were for kids, right? But by the end of my first week, I realized the whispers weren't just stories. The store was old but functional. Neon signs flickered over the entrance. A steady hum of fryers filled the air, and the smell of grease and cleaning chemicals dominated the lobby. Everything else, the quiet hum of fluorescent lights, the stale scent of soda, the cold of the tiles, felt normal until it wasn't. My coworker Rachel was with me on the first night. She'd been working nights for over a year. Silent, meticulous, and cautious, she moved through the store with ease. "You're new," she said as she wiped down a table. Her voice was soft, almost drowned by the fryers. "Yeah," I admitted. "Don't touch the freezer," she added casually. "It's better that way." I smiled. Of course. I wouldn't. The freezer was large, a walk-in unit at the back of the store. A sign taped across the door read, "Out of order." Duct tape reinforced it. Eventually, someone scrawled, "Do not enter, leak hazard," in thick black marker. Everyone obeyed the warning. Everyone, that is, except the thing I would see. By 11:37 p.m., the night felt heavier. The lights flickered. Shadows moved in unnatural ways. I heard a soft, dragging sound from the back hallway, rhythmic, deliberate. My stomach knotted. "Did you hear that?" I whispered to Rachel. She shook her head. "Probably the AC," she said, but I knew it wasn't. Step by step, I approached the freezer. The air around it felt colder than normal, a deep, unnatural chill. I placed my hand on the tape. It tore easily, almost welcoming me. The freezer door creaked open. A rush of frigid air and a rotten metallic smell assaulted me. And there she was, crouched in the corner, pale, soaked as if drenched in rain, limbs bent unnaturally. Her face, half-melted eyes hollow, deep red, stared at me. Not angry, not sad, just waiting. I stumbled back. Rachel grabbed my arm. "Run!" I did. We locked the freezer door and taped it again, but the sense of being watched didn't leave. Shadows moved along walls, fryers hummed like whispers, and the air smelled faintly of metal and rot, even in the main lobby. The rest of the shift was a blur. Drive-through customers arrived, oblivious. But every flicker of light, every shadow at the corner of my vision felt alive. The night stretched endlessly. I started noticing patterns, whispers from the vents, soft tapping from the freezer, cold drafts moving along the hallway, impossible for the air conditioning, and sometimes glimpses of her in the corner, standing perfectly still, observing. One night around 1:45 a.m., I was finishing inventory, alone. The freezer lights flickered violently. I swore I heard footsteps behind me, not mine, heavy, slow, deliberate. I turned, empty hallway, but the tape on the freezer peeled slightly as if someone or something had touched it. I called Rachel. She came running. Her face was pale, eyes wide. "I told you not to go near it," she whispered. I nodded, but neither of us spoke about what I saw. That night I left the store with my hands shaking. The image of her crouched figure burned into my mind. The nights that followed escalated. I was closing the store alone one night when a customer came in, dripping wet, silent, standing near the lobby corner. I assumed it was some lost driver, but the eyes, hollow, red, unblinking. The smell of rot filled the air around them. They didn't move toward the counter, didn't order, just watched. I froze. Rachel appeared from the back, gasping. "Don't look at them," she whispered. Before I could react, they vanished. No sound, no trace, just gone. The following days, employees quit one by one. One night, the night manager disappeared. His car was found in the lot, doors open, engine off. No trace of him inside or outside the store. Corporate issued a memo. Do not discuss incidents. Keep the store operational. Close the freezer. I lasted 2 more nights. By then, the freezer wasn't the only thing I feared. Shadows lingered in the dining area. Lights flickered in patterns that made no sense. Whispers echoed through vents even when the store was empty. And sometimes at the edge of my vision I could see her. Pale, wet, crouched, watching. Waiting. On my last night I arrived early, heart racing. Rachel had already left. I tried to ignore the feeling of being followed, but every creak, every hum made my skin crawl. I cleaned the tables, stocked napkins, wiped the counters, but couldn't shake the freezer. Every so often the tape seemed to peel, revealing darkness behind it. My hand itched to touch it, to see if something would happen. Around 2:17 a.m. I heard the dragging sound again, slow, rhythmic. I froze, and then from the corner of the lobby I saw her, pale, soaked, limbs bent, staring directly at me. No blink, no movement except the slow tilt of her head. I bolted, locking the doors behind me, leaving everything inside. My car engine roared to life. The lot was empty. But as I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was there, standing by the side door, smiling crookedly. Waiting. I never returned. I quit the job the next day. But the nightmares followed. I dream of the freezer, the smells, the shadows, the figure crouched in the corner. I wake in cold sweat, heart racing, thinking about the soft tapping, the whispers, the way she waits silently patient, knowing I'll see her again if I ever come close. Years later, I avoid Burger Kings at night. If I must pass one, I check every shadow, every window. Sometimes, just sometimes, I see her standing by the freezer. Pale, wet, watching, waiting. Some places don't forget, some things don't die, and some doors should never ever be opened. This is a fully expanded version of Story 4 with multi-night shifts, creepy encounters with the supernatural figure, detailed co-worker interactions, multiple ominous events, tension building to a terrifying climax. I had worked fast food jobs before, but nothing prepared me for the Burger King off Interstate 19. The store had a reputation, though I didn't know it at first. Employees whispered about things in the drive-thru, about shadows that lingered after hours, and managers who vanished without a trace. I laughed it off until the first night. I was 20, broke, and desperate. College hadn't worked out financially, my dorm job refused extra hours, and my parents were across the country. Nights at Burger King promised quiet, minimal customers and steady pay. Easy money. That's what I thought. Rachel was my first co-worker. She had been working nights for years and had the nervous energy of someone who'd seen too much. "You're new," she said, barely looking up from the cash register. "Yeah," I replied. "Don't go near the drive-thru after midnight," she said casually. "Or the back hallway or the freezer. Actually, just don't touch anything after midnight." I laughed. "Relax, I'm not scared of shadows." She gave me a look. "You should be." The first night. It was rainy, humid, and the fluorescent lights flickered as I stepped inside. The store smelled of fried oil, cleaning chemicals, and something wrong, faintly metallic like blood mixed with rust. I ignored it. The first customer arrived at 11:05 p.m., a man soaking wet ordering a single Whopper. His eyes were hollow, red around the edges. I thought he was drunk or high. I handed him his food. He said nothing, just stared at the drive-thru window as he left. The rain didn't drip from him, not a drop. By 11:37 p.m., I was stocking napkins when I noticed movement. shadows stretching across the lobby floor in strange, unnatural ways. I told myself it was the lights, but the Friars hummed differently. The air felt thicker. Rachel appeared from the back. You see it too, right? I'm imagining it, I said, though I wasn't. Good. Keep it that way, she said, eyes darting nervously. The drive-through. At midnight, I went to check the drive-through. Nothing unusual at first, just the dark lot, rain tapping against the roof and empty parking spaces. Then I noticed her. A pale woman, soaked, standing at the edge of the lot. She wasn't moving, not blinking, just staring. Her eyes, I couldn't describe them properly, red, deep, hollow, watching me. I froze. Rachel appeared behind me. Do not look at her, she whispered. But it was too late. The woman smiled, a slow, crooked smile that made my stomach churn. Then she disappeared. Just gone. No sound, no trace. The freezer. A week later, I was finishing a shift alone. The back freezer's tape was peeling again. I ignored it. The hum of the Friars sounded different. I felt something watching me. I walked past the freezer and froze. A shadow moved inside, not a human shadow, thicker, heavier, limbs bent in impossible ways. I backed up. Rachel appeared, her face pale. Don't go in there. I didn't argue. We locked the freezer again, but I could feel it, waiting, watching, shadows everywhere. The nights blurred together. Shadows moved in the lobby. Drips of water appeared on the floor, but the ceiling was dry. I heard whispers in the vents, faint, deliberate, calling my name. Friars hissed as if alive. One night at 1:23 a.m., a customer drove through the window, alone, but the car was empty. I leaned forward, confused. The order was complete, sitting in the tray. I looked up. The car was gone. No tracks in the rain. Nothing. I told Rachel. She nodded. They test you. They see if you notice. They know if you care. The last night. My last shift was on a Saturday, rain pouring, wind howling, the lot empty. I was alone. Rachel didn't show. I tried to stay calm, but every corner of the store seemed alive. The lights flickered. Shadows stretched impossibly long. And then I saw her. The pale woman from the drive-thru, standing in the corner of the lobby, just staring. I ran to the door. It didn't open. The handle was freezing. The lights flickered violently. Shadows reached out from the walls. I screamed. She moved. Slowly gliding across the floor, her face closer, her smile wider. Then the freezer door slammed open behind me. Inside, shadows writhed, reaching out. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. And then, silence. I woke outside, rain soaking my clothes. The doors were locked, empty lot, no footprints, no car, nothing. I quit that night. Never returned. Aftermath. Years later, I drive past that Burger King. The lights flicker red and yellow. I check every shadow, every window. Sometimes, just sometimes, I see her. Standing, crouched, watching, waiting. I don't eat there anymore. I don't go at night. And I never forget. Some places never release what they trap inside. Some shadows linger long after the lights go out, and some smiles are never meant to be seen. I never wanted to work nights. I wasn't a night person. But college tuition doesn't pay itself, and the Burger King on Cedar Street promised extra hours and decent pay. The locals called it the cursed BK, though I laughed at the rumors. Disappearances, shadowed figures, strange sounds. They all seemed like stories employees told to scare each other. I met my night coworker Mara the first night. She had sharp eyes, moving through the store with careful precision. "You're new," she said, voice soft, almost drowned by the hum of Friars. "Yeah," I said, handing her a nod. "Good. Don't go in the freezer. Don't linger in the back hallway. And don't ignore the whispers." I smiled. Whispers? Really? She didn't smile back. The first night. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. Rain streaked the parking lot, fluorescent lights flickered, and the air smelled of fryer oil and bleach. A faint metallic scent lingered, but I ignored it. Around 11:15 p.m., I heard something soft, rhythmic, like someone dragging a mop. I looked up. Empty hallway. Mara appeared. "Did you hear it?" "I think it's just the AC," I said, though my stomach tightened. "No. Listen carefully," she whispered. The sound repeated, dragging, then a soft whisper like someone saying my name. I froze. The fryers. By midnight, I was tending to the fryers. Steam rose, the scent of oil thick in the air. That's when I heard it again. Whispers. Softer now, almost indistinct, but coming from the fryers themselves. I turned. Nothing. Mara was pale. "Don't stare too long," she warned. "It likes attention." Before I could ask what she meant, the fryer baskets rattled violently. Oil splashed onto the floor, and then a voice. "Why are you here?" Not loud, not clear, but I understood. I stumbled back. Mara grabbed my arm. "It's testing you," she said. "It wants you to notice." The freezer weeks passed. Shadows seemed thicker at night. The freezer door, always taped, was worse than ever. Each night I felt drawn to it, like it called me. One night I couldn't resist. I peeled back the tape. The smell hit me first, rotten meat, ice, rust, and then I saw it, a figure crouched inside, pale, wet, with limbs bent in impossible ways, watching, waiting. I stumbled back, nearly hitting Mara. She grabbed my arm. "You saw her," she whispered. "Yes," I gasped. "You shouldn't," she said. The drive-thru. The real horror came from the drive-thru. Cars appeared after midnight, empty, orders placed without anyone inside, and sometimes figures appeared, pale, crouched, watching, waiting. One night I opened the drive-thru window to deliver an order. Nothing there. I looked down the lane, a woman, pale, soaked, standing perfectly still. She didn't blink. She smiled crookedly, then vanished. I ran inside. Mara followed, eyes wide. "They're always testing," she said. "Always. If they catch you alone." I didn't ask what would happen. I didn't want to know. The climax. My final night was a storm. Thunder rattled the roof. The lot was empty. The lights flickered. Shadows stretched along the walls, moving independently of anything natural. I was finishing cleaning when I heard the dragging sound again. Soft, rhythmic, deliberate, from the back hallway. I opened the door. Nothing. Then whispers. My name, repeated over and over. The freezer door slammed open by itself. Steam and the smell of rot poured out. The pale woman crouched inside, staring at me. Her limbs bent in impossible angles. She didn't move, just watched. The whispers grew louder, surrounding me, echoing off walls, fryers, and ceiling tiles. I bolted, ran past the lobby. The front doors wouldn't open. The lot outside was black, silent. I could see shadows crawling along the windows, reaching for me. Somehow I made it out. I never looked back. Aftermath. Years later, I still drive past that Burger King. The lot is often empty, lights flickering, but I can still see her. Pale, soaked, crouched in the corner of the lobby, watching, waiting. I never eat there anymore. I never go at night. And I never forget. Whispers can be more terrifying than screams. Shadows can follow long after the lights go out, and some figures never leave. I never thought a job at a fast food restaurant could feel like stepping into another world. But the Burger King on Ridgeway Road was that place, a store that seemed ordinary by day but warped and sinister at night. I was 21 when I started. College funds were low, my apartment rent was overdue, and nights offered double pay. Easy money, I thought. I was wrong. The first night, my coworker Lila warned me, "Don't go near the freezer after midnight. Don't go near the back hallway after midnight. And don't listen to the whispers." I laughed. Whispers? Really? She didn't. The first night. The first night felt quiet. Too quiet. The parking lot was empty except for a flickering streetlight. Inside, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The smell of fryers and cleaning chemicals hung heavy, but beneath it was something else. Metallic. Faint. like blood mixed with rust. By 11:15 p.m., I noticed it, soft whispers almost indistinct coming from the back hallway. I froze. Leela appeared behind me. "Did you hear that?" "It's just the AC," I said, though my stomach twisted. "No," she whispered. "Listen." The whispers repeated my name, slow, deliberate, as if someone or something knew I was alone. The drive-through. At midnight, the first strange incident occurred. A car drove through the window, but no one was inside. The order was completed sitting in the tray. No footprints, no tire marks in the rain outside. Later I saw her, the pale woman, soaked, crouched at the corner of the lot, watching, waiting. Her eyes hollow, deep red. She didn't move. She didn't blink. And then she vanished. The freezer weeks passed. Shadows seemed to stretch along walls, lingering longer than natural. The freezer, always taped, always warned against, was worse. Something called to me. Each night I could hear faint dragging sounds, whispers from inside. One night I peeked inside. Steam rose, carrying the metallic stench of rot. She was crouched there, limbs bent unnaturally, staring at me. I backed away, heart hammering. Lila grabbed my arm. "You saw her. Don't look, don't touch, don't acknowledge her." Escalation. The nights became increasingly disturbing. Orders appeared from empty cars. Shadows moved independently of the lights. Whispers echoed through vents, fryers, even the soda machines. One night, a manager disappeared. His car was found, engine running, doors open. No trace inside or outside the store. Corporate issued a memo. "Do not discuss incidents." Keep the store operational. I felt trapped. The store itself seemed alive. Shadows stretched, moved, and sometimes I could feel eyes on me even when the room was empty. The climax. The final night was a storm. Rain pounded the roof, wind rattled doors. Shadows crawled along walls, moving independently. Fryers hissed unnaturally, as if alive. I was cleaning the lobby alone when I heard the dragging sound. Step by step, deliberate. From the hallway, whispers calling my name. The freezer door slammed open. Steam and metallic rot poured out. She crouched inside, staring at me. Limbs bent impossibly, eyes hollow. I couldn't breathe. Shadows moved from walls, fryers, vents, enveloping me. I ran for the exit. Doors wouldn't open. The lot outside was black, empty. I could see figures crawling along windows, reaching. Somehow I made it out. Rain-soaked, heart pounding. I never looked back. Aftermath. Years later, I drive past that Burger King. Lights flicker red and yellow. I check every shadow, every window. Sometimes, just sometimes, I see her. Crouched, pale, wet, watching, waiting. I never eat there. I never go at night. And I never forget. Some buildings remember, some shadows linger, some whispers call long after the lights go out.